From deep in the Burbank Media District, it's time for another edition of My Burbank Talks, presented by the staff of My Burbank. Now, let's see what's on today's agenda as we join our program.
Hello, everybody. Craig Sherwood here once again. We got you live on Twitter and YouTube, we think, hopefully. So if you're turning in live, we appreciate that. We're here along with Craig Durling and, of course, the infamous Ross Benson.
Well, good morning, good afternoon.
Wilbur.
That's what it sounded like. The week that was, oh my.
I'm Mr. Red.
There you go.
No, I'm Ross.
Oh, okay.
Twas and twill be.
Well, Wilbur was somewhere.
The week that was, the week that will be for September 4th. Even now today is.
September 4th.
I don't even know anymore. Is it?
And
This show has me so messed up what day it actually is.
And we're laboring on Labor Day too, which is always a I put a little tweet out today saying all the union people, especially the union people for the writers and the actors, and somebody goes, well, other people work too. It's like,
right.
I know, but I'm just trying to give them a little love on.
And they'd be working if they could.
They'd be working if they absolutely would.
Listen to some of the guys. There was parades down in Wilmington, I think it was.
Yeah.
Many places. But if you
Not in Burbank.
Well, but if you look on
our parades every day in front of the studios.
Yeah, right. No, there were several of our local politicians involved in parades around, not in Burbank, but I saw Nikki, I saw Nick Schultz at the big union one in Wilmington, or they were on Facebook or something, social media, and it kind of got me. But you listen to the union presidents, you used to be union when you worked at a market,
Mm-hmm.
and many years ago, the CVS or Save on Drugs, they wanted us to go union, and we refused to and went into a court battle, and we didn't have to. We got the same pay. But they were talking, people buy houses, people get paid good salaries. Unions are a big thing. So today we thank them all.
Absolutely.
We do,
and the people who also worked on Labor Day too.
Yes.
We appreciate your sacrifice. I hope you got some holiday pay for doing it.
And I do. I'm not nothing special, but if I go into a store or restaurant on Labor Day, I always make it a point to thank them for working.
Yeah.
That day, and if they're working on any other holiday, I'll thank them for doing it. But on Labor Day this weekend, above all else, R.I.P. to Jimmy Buffett. Parrot heads unite, fins up everybody. But I worked with Jimmy 30 years ago, almost to the day that he passed away, on his 93 tour. And it's ironic that he passed away on Labor Day weekend.
Wow.
Because one of his most popular songs, Come Monday, is the Labor Day weekend song.
Was he unhealthy, or did just...
He was skin cancer.
Yes.
Something I know very well. Thank you.
Don't we all?
Well, we all do. Especially us fair-skinned, follically challenged types.
Well,
but I was a huge fan he was one of the few artists who, in my lifetime, I have worked with, had the honor of working with, and paid to see perform many times. I think I saw him 10 times live, but some great memories working with him back in
his
93.
fan base was amazingly loyal.
Oh.
It's kind of like the Deadheads and all that. And he had a very...
Parrot heads.
Well, but the Deadheads were Grateful Dead. I'm saying he had a very loyal following like they did.
Absolutely.
But
he was also, the less important part is he died a billionaire because he was such a great businessman.
Oh, he had the tequila.
He had an empire he built off of basically Margaritaville, the song. He had hotels and cruise ships and restaurants and all the licensing. So kudos to him, and he lived the life he sang.
Yeah, he was.
He was the real deal. So
it's a good reminder. Skin cancer. If you're fair skin like you, I'm seeing I got some spots higher on the side of my head, that I've felt come up the last couple
you've
of
had
weeks.
Some procedures done because of it.
I've had 50 spots taken off my head being bald. My doctor says you don't go outside day, night, or anytime without your head covered. But Thursday, I got to go see my dermatologist. She now has changed it from every 6 months, was every 3 months. Now it's every 45 days. That's how quick. And she says we got to stay on top of it. They freeze this stuff, and I'll go in there and she'll probably freeze 20 or 30 spots.
Yeah.
Craig Sherwood and I go to the same dermatologist, and she's great what she does. But folks, it's not
Yeah, the surgeon she sent me to took a whole chunk out of my neck 5 months ago, and just healing now. Last appointment next week.
Sunscreen and shade, people. Sunscreen and shade.
When I first started, I coached 40 years out in the sun all day, every day, and the first 20 years, sunscreen was to get a tan. It wasn't to protect you.
Yeah.
So the last 20 years, I used it.
Man, I grew up. I was never a fan of sunscreen and all that. Always getting your eyes and stuff, but it catches up with you later. Years of being out, and I worked my career. I was out in the field all the time, out in the California sun.
Well, growing up, we had a pool, so every summer, it was put on, oil and lay out in the sun, jump in the pool, and this is the results of it.
Yep.
Pay for it later.
Should we get on with the week that was before it becomes the week that was
Tuesday, August 29th.
Okay. Well, the City of Burbank council meeting. I'm sorry, not a council meeting. The council was dark. They were dark for a couple of weeks. But the City of Burbank announced their partnership with Believe in Big Change, which is a Burbank nonprofit, which I've never heard of. And they're working together to transition unhoused individuals. It's part of the city's emergency housing voucher or permanent supportive housing program into safe, stable living conditions. And when I looked it up, it is an agency that really only is for women. The release didn't say that, but their website says we deal with women all the time. So I'm not sure if it's an unhoused man if they're going to still be But my thing is this: is that we already have the Family Service Agency, and I think they're doing the same thing with a proven record, and we all know who they are. Ross, you had some thoughts on this, don't you?
Yeah, I know Family Service Agency real well, and Lori Bayek over there, and they do. They have, people don't know it, there are houses that they have spotted around town. If they need to rescue somebody, if you're in a
there's a lot of domestic violence situations.
And you need to get out, they can put you up and get you into a safe zone and work with you. So you're correct. Burbank already has.
So here's another agency. I've never heard of them.
Right.
Why are we just not funneling the money into Family Services Agency who has a proven record and has facilities already in place? Why do we have it? Why are we bringing in a new company? What can they provide the Family Service Agency cannot provide?
Well, nothing. I mean, they're looking for the same thing. But
this does say unhoused individuals. Maybe it's not related to family issues, things like that. It's transients.
The same with Family Service. They'll
do that.
Yeah, they don't. There's no resume that you have to check that says I have a family. It's
what got me was
maybe we need to look into this one a little.
I looked at the press release. I believe it said they've been around for 5 years. Family Service Agency. Next month we're going to be covering their gala, and they've been around for 70 years.
Gallica
in the city, 70 years.
Yeah,
they got a good track record.
Yeah, and we do supply. They are part of our community block grant funds and everything else. And
when you said you've not heard of the BIBC before, this nonprofit,
never heard of them.
Never heard of them.
But the city's going to start giving them money to,
and that's money that the Family Service could probably use.
Oh, definitely.
In their, so I don't understand why are we pitting them against each other to see? It doesn't make sense to me.
Need to put a reporter on that.
Let's move on to Wednesday. We had so evidently, which I find interesting, Burbank Police put out the week before a BOLO, be on the lookout for. They put out a BOLO that was a, wait a second, hold on. For
BOLO?
2 individuals.
A BOLO?
BOLO.
A BOLO?
BOLO.
BOLO. You never heard BOLO before?
Oh,
do you not watch NCIS?
No, I don't. I'm sorry. Does that mean?
Well, it's a real thing.
All point?
No.
Be on the lookout.
Be on the lookout.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Anyhow, they put one out last week for 2 individuals that committed some crimes back in February and March. Not recently, February and March.
I have trouble remembering what I did last week.
And the amazing thing was they actually included pictures. So we put them on our site and everything else. And then the next week, we got a release saying, hey, they arrested the 2 individuals. That was last week, so that means they're probably already out of
I got a question.
out of jail this week. But
I got a question.
Yes, Ross.
They put out pictures. When we want pictures of suspects,
we can't get them.
you can't get them. I don't understand here. And if I recall reading in the press release that went out, they even thanked the public
for their help.
And their contributing to catching these two people. Doesn't that get you?
Isn't a picture worth 1,000 words?
I think I've been told that.
Well, it's in the Old West. They used to put up
Wanted.
all of the wanted,
Yeah,
for this or that. Because
post office.
hey,
I think they're still in the post office. I think they still have a wanted section in the post office.
does the post office still exist?
Well,
Right.
But crowdsourcing this to the public, it's better to have 100,000 sets of eyes out there.
well now with the Burbank Police Department kind of going off the radar, we're gonna maybe start doing Freedom of Information Acts for arrests now and try to get mugshots.
Well, but that's post arrest. If they're looking for somebody like the guy at Barnes and Noble or whatever, it would help to put what you do have out there. Because you have the public out there as additional sets of eyes that can provide information, like apparently in this case.
That was actually strange because Burbank said, it's still an investigation. We're trying to find more individuals who might, but they never included a photo. And I'm going, why wouldn't you include the photo of the guy you're looking for?
Well, what got me on that one?
But that's all. Glendale did all the work on that. Burbank.
Why did Burbank say we have nothing else to say, and that is kind of end of what we're putting out?
And they've never said a word since, and they've never arrested the guy for what he did in Burbank.
So he was in Burbank. I've talked to people that have said they've seen him because he had very distinguishable ears and how his appearance. And why wouldn't you put that out in the town?
This is the Barnes and Noble
guy?
Okay.
The sniffer.
The sniffer.
So it just kind of gets me how they make their rules and how they do it.
I just found that a little bit interesting.
Is that a question? Is that a question that can be posed to them to see what their thought is behind that? What their reasoning is?
We're probably going to hear what we don't want to contaminate the investigation.
Okay, but if that's their official line, then you've got their official line. Right now that we're just asking the question.
Their official line was we have no further information we're going to share with this.
Right.
I mean,
so it's nice to see that these two people got caught.
Yes, good job on that.
The only reason I'm laughing, I can picture that Johnny Carson, the little skit that he did with Jack Webb, the clap, 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 blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And
I have no idea what you're talking.
It's been all the best of the highlights. All the Tonight Show.
It's Johnny Reed.
Clara Copper and her copper clappers. If I find them, you know what I'll do? What? I'll clobber them.
Well, it's on Johnny Carson. It must have been funny.
Yeah, look up the Johnny Carson highlights.
Was Jack
usually
Webb,
in that.
Was Jack Webb on Johnny Carson when they did that?
Yeah, they did it together.
They did it
together. Yeah.
But I'm glad to see these two guys, these two people. I think it was a male and a female.
Yeah, it appeared.
Bookham Dano. They're probably out already.
They're got to be out by now.
But it also you know what it does?
Yeah, that's what a criminal does. He's smart nowadays. He doesn't say, not guilty, and they put him in bail. They just say, okay, guilty. Okay, fine. You're sentenced to a year. Okay, they go to jail for 3 days. Okay, overcrowded.
Well, a lot of them are cited out. They're given court dates down the road, and they're cited out on their own recognizance.
The sniffer guy was sentenced to 60 days.
And let right out because he was handed over to county for incarceration, and they released him because of overcrowding.
1 day. So if you plead guilty, you're going to be out of the system a lot faster than if you actually plead not guilty and have to go through a trial. You're out.
This brings up a great point for women. A good friend of ours, I won't mention the name, I read online, at Costco in Sun Valley. Broad daylight, guy stole her purse, all of her ID. A lot of people made comment about it. You're really a victim, and it's happening every day. Women don't realize they put their purse in their cart.
Right.
They get distracted reading the ingredients of something.
Yeah.
Somebody walks by and that's all it takes.
Turn your back for 2 seconds. And a lot of times they're left open because you have your phone, you have your wallet, your shopping list, and all somebody has to do is reach in and grab it.
Those people are only there for that reason. They're not there to buy a ham. They're only there to steal.
Right.
That's it.
Was that a kosher joke?
A ham.
A ham. Well, actually, our prime, we had prime rib tonight. It was amazing.
But it reminds women, I don't care how old you are, teach your daughters, your wallet, mine goes in my front right pocket. And they have victims, people even, they distract you. And that's what those were. They were distraction, if I recall.
Yeah. You can't, none of us can afford to be oblivious to our environments anymore. You have to be alert. You have to be aware of your surroundings, who's around, and it's not as easy as it used to be just to go through your day.
Well, a couple of weeks ago, we said,
happy.
You're getting gas, you take your keys out of your car. You're getting gas, lock your doors. Don't leave your purse sitting on your passenger seat, sitting wide open, because there's a guy on the other side.
And your back is to the car watching the pump, and this is happening behind you on the other side of your car, and you don't even realize it. Absolutely.
Even here in Burbank, folks, it's happening. We don't hear it because we can't hear Burbank police anymore. They don't report out every time it happens, but they used to.
Well, a lot of them are just considered thefts. They're not notable crimes because I've worked for a few police departments in my life, and there were some that were in very, very quiet little cities. And every time something happened, a purse was taken from an unlocked car in front of their house. Oh, but nothing ever happens here. It's so safe. Not true. There are no walls up around these cities, no fences, nothing. But
now we'll never know.
And because it came so prominent, it at least at the time we were dealing with this. When something was stolen out of a vehicle, a parked unoccupied vehicle, we had to ask the question: was it locked or unlocked? If it was locked and they broke in by force somehow, okay, then it's an auto burglary. If the car was unlocked or the window was open, it's just a theft.
But did you notice this week on a lot of social media, they're talking how San Francisco has become the shithole of California. Oh. But no offense, it's happening here. They're busting windows. If you leave anything of value in your car, you got it coming. That's what trunks are for. But they're breaking these car windows.
Because there's no punishment. There's no fear of retribution or punishment. If anybody resists, they get in trouble now.
Who used to be the DA up in San Francisco?
Oh, right.
What's that?
Who used to be the DA up in San Francisco?
Who used to be the mayor of San Francisco?
The mayor, I don't know, but
he's
Garsconi. What was the
Newsom?
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
There we go.
He ran that into the ground. He's running California into the ground, and now he wants to run the country into the ground. But I digress because it's not a political show.
Well, it's just like we say.
Your opinion matters.
Here in Burbank, it's happening
to no one but me.
It's happening. These lowlifes are coming into town and taking advantage of us, and the only way we can protect it is.
Well, I advise people go look at our arrest reports on our website. That's something that the police have to provide us by law. They can't stop doing that. And if you look at the arrest reports, I would say 80%
or higher
do not live in Burbank.
Right.
But they're crimes of opportunity.
Yes.
And if you keep that door open, literally and figuratively, where they're otherwise normally wouldn't be a crime.
Because we all feel safe in Burbank, and it's easy pickings here.
But you can't. We just can't anymore.
Hopefully you listen to this.
It's hard to say.
Hopefully you listen to this and get a little education.
Yeah. Anything can happen anywhere now.
Okay. And it'll even happen under a blue moon.
Oh.
Let's Wait, that was a segue.
That was a nice try. He didn't pick up on that.
I thought that was in my show notes that I was supposed to roll right into that one.
That was I picked up on it. It was nicely done.
We had a nice blue moon on Wednesday, and Craig, tell us all about why it's really not a blue moon, but what it really is. Although I think everybody's already talked to death as it is. So.
Have they? Have they? Because I saw.
I've heard the explanation about 10 times now, but I watch all the news channels.
Yeah, but a lot of people looked up into the sky and said it doesn't look blue to me.
Was it full?
It was big, and it was full.
Wait,
but it was a super blue moon.
You live closer to it?
Well, I stood up.
Oh,
so I was a little closer to it, but but I looked into a little bit to NASA for the official explanation. What makes it a super moon? What makes it a blue moon? And a blue moon has nothing to do with the color. It's the same color it was always been, but it can appear brighter because the super part is that it is closer to Earth than normal because of its orbital pattern, which is kind of egg-shaped, oval-shaped. And there's times when it's closer to us than it isn't than the rest of the year. So it appears bigger and, as a result, brighter. But the blue part is, correct me if I'm wrong,
Your voice just
astrologer
went up 3
Craig,
octaves.
is if a full moon appears twice in 1 month.
Twice the same
It's
month.
known as a blue month.
And I
a blue
believe
moon.
it was either August 1st or 2nd at first.
It was the first. So it was the 1st and 30th.
And did I hear that this the first or the? It's not going to happen.
Until 2037.
2037. But it's predictable because, and I even looked up all the full moon schedule for the 2023, right? And what I didn't know is there's a full moon. Well, I guess I knew there's a full moon every month because
Right.
of that pattern. But every full moon appears to have a name.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. You want me to run through them just for the heck of it?
Yeah,
They're short. They're not long
They're
names.
called George?
Well, from starting in January, it's the wolf moon, the snow moon, the worm moon, pink moon, flower moon, strawberry moon, buck moon, sturgeon moon, blue moon, August 30th, right? Harvest moon, which is September,
Right, fall.
the Neil Young song, Harvest Moon, hunter's moon, beaver moon, and finally, cold moon.
Okay.
That'll be December
Right away,
26th,
right
the
away.
last full moon of the year.
I wonder how they
But there happened to be, if you look there, August 1st was the sturgeon moon,
I wonder how they come
August 30th was the blue
I
moon.
wonder how they
So
come up with the names. 'Cause I know in hurricanes, every year, they start with the letter A. First hurricane or the first tropical storm, an A. The second one is a B name. C, D. Goes right down the and usually you get about Z or something. They'd always never get to Z too often.
well, what happens if they have to go all the way
Well,
around?
now we're going into, I think, numbers or no, they don't go back to names again. They go back to go to some other.
They like double letters or something?
Yeah,
I
something
forget.
like
It has
that.
happened, but
Yeah.
it's rare.
So
Now,
But that was it. So if you looked up, it was cool. It was I tweeted out a picture I took of
I was
it.
just going to ask you, did you shoot a picture of it?
I did out in the street in front of my place. Now, if you looked up with your eye or your phone, it was just a bright white orb. But I used some fancy equipment and got a pretty good close up shot of it, detailed. I think you can see footprints. Well, maybe not.
Armstrong?
From Buzz and Neil up there. I don't know.
I know in full moons you usually get a
Okay, sorry everybody that's listening to this with earbuds out
get a lot
there.
of dog howls.
Okay, we won't do that one again.
Oh well. Oh yes, I will.
You know we will.
Oh yes, I will.
You know we will. But that was a blue moon, and you can wait till 2027.
37.
2037, sorry, if we all make it that far, and wait for the next one. But don't expect it to be blue,
Okay.
unless it's sad.
Let's move on here.
Now, but
we're
I got
falling
a quick
behind
question.
here.
No, I got a quick question. Why do, and I think I have heard the reason, hospitals are busier, police departments are
On
busier
the full moon.
on a full moon. And I was once told, if you look at major events, JFK getting assassinated, the day of a full moon, major things. And somebody told me your body is water. Water, the water pressure rises, oceans rise during a full moon. Does the same thing with the body, and people go a little more berserk. And that's why hospitals hate full moons.
Really? Well, if anybody out there knows the
There you go.
scientific response to that, email us at
Well, let's move on to Thursday with that. We're
burbank.com.
falling behind here. Interesting email we got on Thursday. A survey came out by an organization called Uprise Burbank, which is one of these cloak and dagger, behind the scenes, organization trying to rile up the masses. They have a website called Clear Burbank, and they wanted you to text a yes or no vote about allowing the closure of a 2-block section Magnolia between Avon and Magnolia for Family Pride in the Park event. Now, my take is, number one, don't text your number to anybody, because once they get your text, you're going to get all kinds of stuff like that.
Does the survey ask for?
But I want you to use your phone and text a number to them. So I'm sure there's a way of tracing that.
Yes or no to allow the closure?
Yeah. So here's my thing. So number one, and this is we're going to be a while on this. It's a multi-part thing here. Number one, if an organization comes in and they do a permit and they pay for what needs to be paid for, it's not up to The city can't say yes or no. They can't say, we don't like your agenda, we don't like your position. They can't. If you follow all the rules, they have to then allow it, unless, of course, it's something that it might endanger the public safety. I'm pretty sure about that, correct? Does it sound right?
Sure.
Okay. So if everybody says no, they're still going to have it. A no vote on whatever this is not going to stop it. But number two, here's what my thing is. Number one, yeah, and Ross, I'll let you get into this, but I remember they had this event last year, and you being a member of the Merchants Association, I remember they didn't pay the bill last year to you guys. Number one.
They approached.
Number two, let me finish number two here. What do the merchants think about closing down 2 blocks of Magnolia on a given night where they lose their parking and everything else to an event like this? So what's the thought process there? So go ahead and give us your thoughts.
Well, a year ago, Pride, I think it was called Pride Burbank or Pride something, approached Magnolia Park merchants and said, we will give you $5,000 if you will co-sponsor, because Magnolia Park merchants used to do the food truck event.
And still do the food truck events.
Well, they do. It's back.
Yeah.
And they wanted to do it. We had stopped because of COVID. So and one of our council members was the force behind them coming to Magnolia Park and saying, we'll give you funds. We'll pay for the police. We'll pay for all these things. Whatever's left over, we'll give to Magnolia Park. Well, the treasurer at the time of Magnolia Park Merchants was also in the Pride organization. She was a regular member, not a board member. Since then, we've never gotten the money. Magnolia Park merchants have never been given the money from last year's event.
And if you asked the treasurer, what did she say?
She's now the president of Burbank Pride to all the paperwork that has been put in for this new event.
So she's not in the Merchant Association anymore?
No, she is no longer. We felt that was a conflict of interest. So she's no longer, and she doesn't live in Burbank. She used to have a business in Burbank. She doesn't anymore.
So why does she want to have it in Burbank if she doesn't live here and doesn't have a business here? Why does she want to have it in Burbank?
Well, she wants to bring it. Last year, it was in the UME parking lot.
Okay.
They approached them, and it was a community event. I attended it, but what raised a lot of problem or question is, and it brought in
the Tin Horn Flats crowd.
Well,
That's
it brought
what I
in
call them.
Right.
The Tin Horn Flats from Canoga Park and everywhere else. They all came in.
Riverside, not Canoga, but Riverside.
Well, yeah, but some came from the West Valley too, and they come in and disrupt.
Oh yeah,
that's all they want to do is disrupt.
Because of the LGBT connection,
correct,
or
yes,
the closing of Magnolia.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there were people that were inside the parking lot. They had a stage. They had some dressers. People cross-dressed. What do you call them?
Sure, it's Pride.
Right.
Drag queens. And
Drag queens.
Yeah.
And some people didn't feel that was proper for Burbank kids to see. It was on private property. The event went off quite well. It was well attended.
Well, don't bring your kids in.
Don't take your kids.
Yeah.
Okay. But people were offended by the protesters yelling stuff across the street. And it brought out quite a few police. This year, we just found out last week when it is, and they're closing down a couple of blocks.
This time it goes down blocks, not just having
from Hollywood Way,
right. No,
Avon to California.
Yeah, but this time they're closing the street down, which last time they just had it in a UME parking lot. So this would be a lot bigger event then, with a lot more bells and whistles.
I happened to get to see the permit that they put in, not only closing the street, which is a very, very expensive venture. They're bringing in porta potties. They're bringing in a lot of
barricades, water barricades,
the stuff they need. No, water's out of the picture now anymore. But what gets us is, where's our money from last year? We've made the request. Their president is ignoring our phone calls and our emails. And how can the city allow them? Well, who's going to pay for all this?
Well, forget the city. How can the city allow it? My thing is, if you're going to close down 2 blocks of the city, you should consult with the businesses first, saying, "Is this okay with you?" Because if you could consult 20 businesses and all 20 say no, this is against, and you're paying the city business tax to be in business, and now the city's saying, well, you can't have access to your store on this day. I just there's a lot more to it. I think that I know when I coached at Burroughs, and people want to come use our field. One thing that they did well was they always came to me and said, "Hey, so-and-so organization wants to use your field on this day. Is it okay?" And I would either say yes or no. And if I said no, then that was it. They couldn't use the field. But if I said yes, and because the school would make the money on a film shoot or whatever it's going to be, fine. But of course, baseball would never see a penny of that. But I just think the merchants should be part of the equation on this because they're the ones who are affected financially by this.
Well, the board, Magnolia Park Merchants Board, because of the negativity that we received after the event last year, we got many threatening phone calls from businesses and residents thinking that we were sole group behind it. We decided we're not backing it or endorsing it. We're staying out of it this year. We'd like to get our money that they promised us.
Good luck.
And what gets me about it, a city council member, we've written to her, and
who was it? Who? Don't just say who.
Tamala.
Okay.
Tamala was the one that brought it to us. And what this event, it's from 12 to 6, so it's not a nighttime thing. It's on a Saturday.
Well, it's 12 to 6. They got to close the streets down, 9 or 10 a.m. or something? I mean, they don't close it down when it starts.
Well, right, probably. But the merchants in that small area, were they consulted? I don't think so. We would have heard that we have members in the Magnolia Park merchants that are all along there. It doesn't close those businesses down.
No, but how can you drive there to go do business
access
with them?
to it,
right?
To them.
It makes it a challenge, But it's unfortunate. Again, like I say, I looked at to close down.
I mean, we don't have a problem with the event. We just have a problem with where they're having it, how they're having it, and their track record in the past.
Well, that's it.
If they had this event over at Johnny Carson Park, would a great venue for it.
It would be a good venue for it. But if they're not meeting their end of the bargain, I can't. That's not going to, in all likelihood, have the association endorsing the next one.
Well, the reason they didn't come back to you is because they owed you $5,000. They didn't want to pay it, so this thing needs to go right straight to the city.
Well,
just bypass you guys now because we don't pay our bills.
That's what gets me.
But with the city, you got to pay in advance, don't you?
No, you do not. Well, that's the thing. Okay. I want to know.
We're going to stay on this then, and we're going to make sure if that bill gets paid or not.
I wonder if now I noticed on their map, they say security. They have to have police out there.
I can't believe you don't have to pay in advance.
No.
I mean, if you get a building, you get any kind of permit, you got to pay when you get it.
But a permit, but that doesn't include the police department.
Well, there should be a down payment saying, it's
like a good faith down payment for it.
Okay, you figure your event's going to cost around $5,000. You got to put down $2,500 in advance.
Yeah,
or a bond. Do you have to have a bond? I would think they'd have to have insurance for that. A bond, yeah.
But it just, I have a feeling the city's going to end up getting kind of like Magnolia Park Merchants in the long run because the group is. Well, I don't want to say.
Well, you said the president does not live here. It has no association to Burbank in any way. So if they just cut and run, they don't have to come back. They have no reason to come back to Burbank then.
Very true.
We're just going to be, we're just a sucker.
So people should know if they are around town, don't plan on.
What date is it?
It is the 23rd of this month, okay, so 2 weeks away.
So 23rd is a good day not to plan on driving down Magnolia.
Well, you won't.
Well, unless you're attending the event. Yeah, if you're attending the event, right, certainly go. But if you
you can't drive all the way down the street. You'll have to stop it.
If you frequent the area,
right,
expect stoppages.
Yes,
right.
Well, we're going to stay on it, and we're going to find out. We're going to see about payment. We're going to check up on this in October and see if their bills are paid, and see what their final bills are. How much?
Oh, I totally agree. I know what
are they paying?
It's very expensive to close
Are they
the
paying
street.
for the barricades?
You're not. I'm not.
No. Is this group paying for the barricades, or does they contact them through the city?
No, it's directly to that company.
Okay.
Right, like Holiday in the Park.
I wonder if that company's going to require money advanced for the barricades. Well, it's a lot to, but we will find out on city, because I guarantee you
There's a lot involved here.
there's a lot of
moving parts to
and
this
there's a lot of city, as far as
Departments.
departments and the police department, and they gotta I'm sure have 4 officers out there, probably a sergeant and lieutenant.
Well,
and
and learning from last year, the likely to know that they have to have more.
Yeah, the city does require some things. The trash. People don't realize trash pickup, cleanup after that. When we put on an event, even our Friday nights, we pay quite a bit for people to clean up after us and the trash. People are, I'm sorry to say.
Wait, aren't you usually last to leave because you walked up and down the street picking up trash the whole time?
Holiday in the Park, the committee has stayed till 3 a.m. picking up every piece of paper on the boulevard.
You have to leave it the way you found it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Leave it better than you
or
found
better.
it.
Or better, yeah.
So we'll keep you up to date on that. It's
Well, let's move over back to Friday. A couple good events, a couple positive things. Number one, we had the basically the command change in the fire department, the changing of the chiefs, and you were there at the ceremony, and I hear it was a very good. It was a very well attended ceremony with numerous other chiefs there to support our chiefs.
Oh,
transition.
It was amazing to see. Chief Eric Garcia was the president of California Fire Chiefs Association, and everybody not only recognized him and acknowledged him, but he just very loved everything he did. He was a shaker and a mover, and he was on top of things. They were all there. LA City Fire Chief was there. All the Verdugo Fire Chiefs were there. They gave him some nice awards. It was really, really nice. I got an award a couple months ago, and I know I used my handkerchief quite a few times. Well, this ceremony the other day, it was there were a lot of tears.
I saw Ashley's video on it, which we have on our YouTube channel right now.
Story will be up tomorrow.
Okay, well, I'll put the video onto the story once it's up.
Great. We need to get the pictures from the fire department. Even now, I shot them. They're their pictures, so they're not my Burbanks or mine. But then they not only honored Eric Garcia with a lot of things, they then did change of command. And change of command, it's a ceremony. Danny got, he got sworn in. First got his badge pinned by his wife, then got sworn in. So how it works is, Burbank was never without a fire chief at any time.
It's like a ship. I mean,
the
captain goes on and says, "Sir, I relieve you," and then there it gets, "Sir, I stand relieved."
Exactly.
And that's how a ship goes too. There's never a moment there's somebody not in charge.
Well, it was great to see there were some retired people there. I was just amazed by the attendance of not only the PD, Burbank PD, whole command staff was there. Every city department head was there. Justin spoke, and I got to talk to Justin. People kind of were wondering, and it was said, why did Chief Garcia retire? He had 30 years in, or almost 30 years. But Burbank has this little law.
The David Gordon law.
Yeah, where you cannot hire any relative.
The nepotism law.
Yeah, the nepotism law in the city, if you will ever be their
commander.
Supervisor.
Yeah.
Right. And his son, Eric's son, got hired by Water and Power as an apprentice, and someday might want to transfer to the fire department.
But he has firefighting skills.
Yes, he does. So you can't if the chief is. So
he did it for his son.
He did it for his son. And Danny Alvarez was up for that position, so he has the education and everything. It was between Eric Garcia and Danny Alvarez. They placed Eric Garcia as fire chief, and he did it for 7 years. And Danny has only been gone
9 months, I think.
Yeah, I think
Santa
it was
Monica.
9 months, and they put in Mark Hatch as the deputy chief, and then it was kind of the writing on the wall. Danny wanted to come back to Burbank. This is where he spent 25 years.
Chief Alvarez.
Chief Alvarez. Did I say?
Well, the public won't know him as Danny.
Right. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. You're right. Chief Alvarez.
He has earned the title after all.
Right.
Oh, that he has. So, and he works with the city team. I mean, he knows the city perfectly. And so, as of Friday, Burbank has a new fire chief.
That's good.
Timing was right for everybody, it sounds like.
And they had a great, I'll tell you, Portos. There were more sweet cookies and tarts and cheese.
Well, you know
things.
firemen are going to eat well.
Yeah. Yeah. So we do have a video. Tomorrow we'll have the story up by
Okay.
Ashley, and we'll have some pictures with it.
Later that day, Burbank High celebrated their 115th birthday.
Burbank's busy.
Now Anson Williams is supposed to be there, but I guess he must have been hanging out with the first lady because he has COVID, like she has COVID now. So
I wonder if they got it together.
Who was
Yeah.
supposed to show up?
Anson Williams from Happy Days.
Potsy.
Yeah, he's the Burbank High's famous graduate.
Class is 67.
Besides Tim Burton, of course, but I name a lot of very famous Burbank High people if I
Well,
spend time on it. But Anson Williams was supposed to be there, had COVID, had to bow out. But they had a nice event there. In fact, we have a video up right now. Rick Assad did a nice story on it. We have a video on our page showing the event.
myburbank.com, main story, featured story.
Also on our YouTube page. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you can click over that when you're done listening to this.
And the nice,
You're still here listening. You're a brave person.
people continue.
Well, there
to
probably won't be a lot of Burbank High School 115-year anniversary videos up.
No, probably not.
They had the quad filled with the different years. They did some nice presentations with people that have, besides the directors and the actors and the politicians and everybody else that has gone to
So-
Burbank High.
Not to poo-poo anything, but what was special about the 115th? Are they going to do 120 and 125?
Well, if we watched the video, Devin actually interviewed somebody who said that they found a lot of archives,
Memorabilia.
and they said, "Wow, we're
Okay.
going to do this." They said, "Hey, Burbank High 115 this year. Why don't we do a thing this year to celebrate 115?" So
Okay, so we can show all the things that we've found out. And
Yeah, and they not only it was not only in the video of some of the things they found, but also some of the recipients. This last year, we lost a coach that was very well liked, Coach Callum, and they made a dedication. It was a football game that night. They don't normally play at Burbank High.
they got their tails whipped too. Ugh.
They played at Burbank High. They had a car show going on. They made
so there's a
some-
lot going on. It happened to be the 115th anniversary, so let's make it special, right?
Exactly,
Well,
and they did a really a plaque that's going to go on the field for Coach Callum.
Oh, great.
They dedicated that, and they call it Callum. Trying to think the name. He had. It was,
I don't know.
Come on, Coach.
I have nothing to do with Burbank High. I don't know.
Jeez.
With football or Burbank High, I have no idea what
You're
they're.
my Burbank. That's Burbank.
well, we covered it. But
When did we cover it? Lately?
yeah, within the last year.
Okay.
Um,
Well, our sports, the field is dedicated to him. It's called Frank Callum Field, probably.
There you go.
And we enjoy the field. You know, we can run around circles. He was a track guy, run around circles, and
It was
No,
worth
it
being
was-
honored, and he was.
You think
Honored.
about the number of people that have gone through that institution, and one of the things in Rick's story that was kind of neat is some of the people that have graduated, their parents, their grandparents have all gone to Burbank High. And you look back,
Probably most like any high school.
well, yeah, when you live in a
This one's
community-
close. This one's in Burbank,
I've
so we appreciate
I've
that.
coached kids. I've coached their dads too.
Right.
It's amazing how that always
So
happens.
it's kind of neat that they did a ceremony, and
That's cool. It sounds like there was a lot of notable,
We
neat stuff
commend them.
along with it.
we
Absolutely.
commend them on
Yes,
getting
Oh,
it.
sure.
They are
It's a
commended.
lot to put on an event like that. So we commend them for
And 115, I'll give it to Burbank. 115 is old for anything in California out
Absolutely.
here, right?
Okay. Well, actually, Burbank was founded in 1911, so that actually makes them older than the city of Burbank.
Yeah, the city's
Like we incorporated in 1911.
Yeah. I'm sorry, counting with my fingers.
Yes.
I was wondering why you were taking
I have to take my
your
shoes off. Sorry about that.
So
What happened over the weekend?
Well,
Well, we did hear that there was a fatal accident, a traffic accident in one of the major intersections in our city, Victory and Magnolia. It is one of the high.
I'm glad you heard it because I didn't hear nothing about it.
I didn't hear it.
It's a heavily traveled intersection.
Yeah, and they have had numerous accidents there. Came out on Pulse Point. It's the only way we know anything nowadays. And that's how I had heard it, was on Pulse Point, especially when they asked for a rescue. And then
Well, we had a fatal accident in the city, and the police would not put any kind of release out saying that they had a fatal accident in the city.
Well, I noticed there's flowers if anybody drives by.
That's amazing. I just, why are everybody being shut out? I just don't. I mean, there's not a criminal involved.
Well, condolence to the departed.
Yes,
Condolences to the departed. But did they announce what caused the cause of the collision?
Not.
Or
But you know what? I sat in that intersection at one time several years ago.
And dodged all the cars they went by.
Well, people, if you look at any of the overpasses along the stretch, people come flying down those hills into the and if they see a green light ahead of them at that intersection, they're going to fly right on through it.
And then the yellow light means.
But you've got people turning right. You've got pedestrians. You've got stuff going on. People can pull right in front of them. I don't know if that's what happened, but
and then they see the yellow light. It means speed up faster.
Well, they got to beat the light because they're going too fast to stop.
Yeah.
Well, that intersection, right, like Victory and Buena Vista, are a couple of Burbank's highest traffic accident locations. I'm told majority of the accidents at both of those are turning radius caused.
So it's an engineering issue.
Oh, we have our blinking yellow lights that they put in. That's supposed to have helped on all that. I guess it hasn't.
Well, that
how
moves
much we pay
traffic
for that?
along. That moves traffic along. That does not.
Yeah, that's just supposed to keep traffic flowing.
But that intersection, I have sat there years ago, and I looked at the lights, and they weren't working. Two people get in the intersection to wait to make a left, and the westbound
they turn green before
and
they clear the intersection.
And people don't look in front of them and go, "That car's not moving."
No, because they're not looking up. They're looking at their phone.
I've been at numerous accidents.
Oh yeah.
So if you drive by and I noticed tonight coming down to the studio, there's a bouquet of flowers on the, northeast corner by the Shell station.
Did it happen near the corner or in the middle of the intersection?
No, it was. I had heard somebody say that it was versus the pole. So, and those are one of.
Was it a single car collision?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Again, we don't have any of this information because
we're just the media. We're not.
If you're driving through that intersection, folks.
Well, it can be used as a teachable moment too, by various city agencies.
And I want to put out there that if that is one of the intersections that in Victory and Buena Vista, some of us go through those intersections.
Yeah, well,
many
you
times
shouldn't go through any intersection at full speed, especially in a metropolitan area.
Yeah.
Because people can be turning, people can be blowing a red the other direction, somebody can jump out on the street. You just have to be prepared to stop, that's all. And I'm not here to lecture anybody.
But if you stop there long enough, go into Giamella's, their sub sandwiches are, sorry.
We'll never get the show done this way. Okay, let's take a break real fast, and we will come back with next week.
How would you like your business advertised in this very spot? My Burbank Talks is looking for local businesses interested in a 30-second spot to appear in our podcasts. If you're interested, please email advertising@myburbank.com, and we'll be glad to discuss all the exciting possibilities with you. Now, back to our podcast.
Hey, we're back with you again for the week that will be, and that started, of course, with today being Labor Day, which we kind of went over a little bit. And, of course, because it's Labor Day, the Arts and Public Places meeting was canceled. Why they wouldn't move it to another day, I don't know, but we have to have it on a Monday because I guess maybe the charter says that or the...
I'd like to get our city clerk in here or do a show remotely, and
Yeah. What?
she could probably explain the reasons why.
Well,
The city charter and the city municipal code probably have this all written down.
Well, the
Somebody
question is
doesn't-
often asked in this room.
Well, and
about
it just
this
doesn't
stuff.
get
Because it
pulled
doesn't
out
make
of the
sense.
sky.
Yeah.
doesn't make sense sometimes.
Sure, there's reasoning or some sort of
and of course,
precedent behind it.
tomorrow the city council's dark once again because it's the day after a holiday, and I guess the day after a holiday nobody can come back and work after a holiday or something. So,
Well, most people don't understand. It's just, let's all get together for a council meeting.
There's a
There is
lot
a-
involved, a lot of
there is.
scheduling.
right.
and-
So
And
instead,
reports.
but instead we're going to wait, have 2-3 weeks off, and now meet again till 1 a.m. next week. So I
Well, but staff probably uses the Monday before these meetings to prepare and get everything together, and they weren't there to do it. So they,
well, you can always try and do it on Friday.
Not
Okay.
when you work a 980, a different
Yeah.
schedule. They don't work your schedule.
Well,
I'm just waiting for Councilman Sherwood.
I will
He tried
to be on a
I'm gonna-
poster.
I will say this about which I find totally unacceptable. On Friday, I called because we use a charter cable here, and we have their fastest system, which is 1 gig internet. And I thought, I know Burbank has the one Burbank fiber network. Let me look into that a little bit. Let me see if we can get that here. Let me see if that's a better alternative for us. So I go to the Burbank, the Burbank website, and I find one Burbank. It says, for information or sales, call this number. So I call a number on Friday, and it's somebody's voicemail. I'm going to myself, so we have this major fiber network in Burbank for businesses and everything else, and the guy who's we have one guy who administers it, I guess, and he takes Fridays off or something.
Or Friday afternoon on a holiday weekend.
Well, but yeah.
Exactly.
So what? The phone can't transfer to somebody else. There can't be anybody else to answer questions during the business day. So I left a message on the machine, and we'll see if I hear back tomorrow or not.
Your gripe is noted, but do you now forfeit the original gripe you had listed for the end of the show?
No, I still.
Oh, I see. I see
Wait a
what's
minute.
happening.
I
We're
thought
hogging
during-
gripes.
During the commercial break,
No.
I heard him say, "We are running long.
well,
Why are we
He
bringing
told
up
us.
stuff?"
Because
He
this
did.
is something that is.
I went on about the moon too long.
Yep.
I thought you were going to say about
started-
I yelled
you
at.
started telling-
I got in trouble.
All employees are off on Friday, so I had to throw that in there. So we run a 4-day week city.
But I will
Government
say-
work, my friend. Government work.
Yeah.
Don't try to call Spectrum lately. Online, there's a
no.
ton of people because this Channel 5 thing that they blacked out, ESPN,
Right.
or not Channel 5, Channel 7 is
Oh.
blacked out on all Spectrum.
That's why I don't have cable TV.
Well, you don't, but a lot
I'm a
of
cord
people
cutter.
Just give you something else to complain about.
I have an antenna on the roof, and it gets everything for free just fine, and I stream everything
Well,
else.
there's tons of people that are calling to complain.
Well,
And I guess reading a lot of these comments that it's an hour to get somebody.
yeah, and they're going to say, hey, we have no control over it. See you later.
But you know who is meeting on Wednesday, September 6th?
Must be the
Civil Service
Board.
At 4:30
But-
at City Hall. So they're meeting.
Oh, wait. It says canceling meeting with no action items.
Oh,
That's on their agenda. They want to start canceling meetings if they have no items to
okay.
action items.
Well, that's something you've been wanting to
I
happen.
agree 100%. Why have a meeting if you have nothing
Right.
that you need to decide? And of course, they'll have their the report on the job openings, as they always have every month. How many people applied for what job? How many jobs are open? What departments? How many applied? How many showed up for the test? And how many got accepted? It's amazing. If you ever want to look at some numbers, go look at that because that is on the website in their agenda.
Well, I found
So
out
if you
last
wonder
week-
why they cancel the next meeting, now you know a potential reason why they
Yeah,
canceled the
if they
meeting.
have nothing,
Didn't have anything to talk about.
Everybody's talking about tying up staff. Well, if there's no reason to have a meeting, then don't have a meeting. If you have a thing that you need to actually discuss and have a policy and notify the council, I'm all for it. That's what these commissions and board meetings are for. But let's move on to Thursday. Water and Power will have a meeting, and they're going to discuss a lot of things. And I'm going to tell you what, I read the agenda, which is
Uh-oh.
once again 75 or 80 pages long, and it
The agenda?
oh yeah, the
Well, a lot of reports.
Oh, so all the context is in
right,
there. Okay.
and so I mean, and I'll tell you what, I give our Water and Power Board a lot of credit because I think it's amazing stuff they have to understand.
Very
And
complex
If you don't
system.
have knowledge of that stuff, I could not do it.
Well, it's an incredibly complex system.
You
All
have to
the
have
different
background.
agreements and contracts they have to have with
You
other.
don't realize for this little light in here in our studio, for when you go and flush the toilet, it just doesn't appear here.
Which one? Hopefully the light.
Yeah, I don't want the
Well, we don't
other
want
one.
anything else to appear.
No.
But there are agreements. I mean, like you're right. These people, Burbank has their own power generating plant, and that's what they talk about. I mean, it is just so complex.
Yeah. The Heritage Commission is going to meet at 5:30 in the Community Services Building, and they have nothing on the agenda, and they're not going to talk about not having meetings with nothing on the agenda. They're still going to have a meeting and once again elect officers.
Maybe it's catered.
Well, I know Water and Power is,
There you go. That's a reason to get together.
but I'll give them that because they do spend a lot of time there and they start early. So
But we were at the Jocelyn, or not Jocelyn. I sometimes feel like I belong at the Jocelyn. We were at the museum, Burbank Historical Museum. You talk about Heritage Commission, and I know Don Baldessaroni is one of the board members
okay,
of the Heritage Commission. And when you think of the museum in Burbank, that's what that committee does.
well, he's also isn't he the president of the Historical Society?
Yes.
So I think he's got it well covered there. I don't think
Well,
because there's nothing on the Heritage. I've never seen anything on the Heritage Commission about the Historical Society.
no, but most of the members that are sitting on that Heritage
Right.
Commission
But if
are
there's
members of
if
it.
there's nothing on the agenda, why have a meeting?
Maybe because they love to see each other.
All right. But
Again.
we appreciate the fact they are taking time out of their schedules to,
That's right.
Oh,
to meet.
absolutely,
So-
absolutely.
Again, maybe that's a question for our city clerk when we have her in for a podcast. Craig, wouldn't you like to
Make
sit
a
on that
list.
one?
Make a list.
So for moving to Friday, we have a ribbon cutting and a grand opening of a new establishment called Bread and Breakfast. I guess a take on the bed and breakfast theme. This is called Bread and Breakfast. It's over at 321 East Alameda, which
East Alameda.
East Alameda, which I think puts it where is that in between San Fernando and Glen Oaks probably.
Yep.
That's not that corner property. It's a strip mall in there.
Mid-block.
Is it in a strip mall or is it a standalone?
The standalone.
So
And it doesn't have the time here because I know you didn't want to scare me. 8:30 in the morning. I think I'm just going to sleep in my car.
You'll
out
still be
front.
up.
yeah, you'll still be
You'll still be awake.
All I can say is better you than me.
Yep, I will be there to cover it for the chamber.
Well, if I get a per diem, I'll cover it.
There you go.
Yeah,
In
that-
fact, we can double your salary here.
Oh, I think 0 times 2 is still 0, isn't it?
Well, that's why I'm very
I
generous.
need a better agent is what I need.
The weekend. Now we have something about this weekend, which thank goodness Ross found out about it because I didn't see it on the city website or I see any kind of publicity about it. But something that a lot of you might really need to take advantage of is the LA County is putting on a household hazardous waste collection event from 9 to 3 at the Burbank Fire Department's training center at 1845 North Ontario. It's pretty much a drive-through.
Oh, I put this one up there.
Okay, well, it's a drive-through event where you just drive through, you pop your trunk or whatever, and the people there will come
You
take.
don't have to get out of your car.
They'll touch.
They don't want you to get out of your car.
Exactly.
They don't want you to touch the chemicals or anything else, or the waste or the paint or
Let
the
them
oil
handle it.
or whatever it's going to be. They'll come take it and they dispose of it.
And you think about that. You have some old paint in your garage. You put it in your trash can. The trash truck
Yeah.
comes. They compress.
Well,
it
but
down and
paint
then
is a hazardous substance. But you think about what people don't realize is you forget what's under your kitchen sink
Oh,
and accessible to kids or whatever or pets. But after a while, the packaging, the cans, the plastic will start to degrade, start to leak, or what have you. Some of these chemicals don't react well together. They don't play well together.
you remember when we had the hazmat technician at Fire Service Day,
Yeah.
and he said under your sink is most hazardous.
Oh, it's amazing.
your garage with all the
But
paints and
it's a
thinners
it's a good excuse to to pull the stuff out from under your kitchen sink, figure out what's there. If you forgot it was there and don't use it, bring it to this event. They'll dispose of it safely. Don't throw it in the trash.
Just put it in the box and bring it over there. They'll take care of it for you.
Now,
Even batteries, old batteries.
And I put a little note on here. What is hazardous household hazardous waste? But homes are filled with it. Under the bathroom sink, kitchen sink, you have all these things that are hazardous waste. And contain chemicals harmful to humans, animals, and the environment. But it includes items like cleaners, paints, herbicides, insecticides, solvents, and some of them, again, like I said, by themselves can be dangerous or mixed together. If you got a container of bleach next to a container of ammonia or something like that, those two spill or should mix together, you're going to have a big problem. So
now my question was, when I looked at this and saw it in our notes, I'm curious, being a diabetic, do they take sharps? Needles.
Well, that's biohazard.
Yeah,
That's not hazardous waste.
I know there's certain locations that are designated.
Yeah.
Well,
But now,
I'm sure if you're a diabetic, you have that. They give you information about where you can dispose of that, don't they?
Not really. No, they
Really?
you
They
get a
say-
container.
They just say throw it away when you're done with it.
No,
Well,
they don't.
No,
No,
you
they
get a container to put them in, but where do you take that container? You can't put it in your trash.
Well, I know a lot. They give you a shipping label to send it back to them, and they'll send you an empty container. But if you call local pharmacies
Yeah,
or
that's
fire departments, they may dispose
Burbank
of them.
doesn't. Burbank Fire doesn't,
Okay.
but I believe
Because you have pharmacies now that have drug
right.
drop off.
Yep.
But they could probably refer you to a place. But
But now I noticed in looking at the fine notes online that you can't take prescribed drugs to this event, but other things that you buy over the counter drugs, medicines, you can
take to this
Yes.
household hazardous
Yes.
waste. Okay, but I know sharps are considered a biohazard, not
Yep.
maybe a different category. But I didn't see anything in this notice about them accepting anything like that.
Well, it's a great event, a great event. It's
Well, yeah,
convenient.
it's a great service, not really
Right.
an event. It's a great
Right.
service.
So they don't have bounce houses
Yeah,
and
it's
lawn
provided by,
darts and.
provided by the County of Los Angeles.
Yeah.
It's not Burbank Fire doing it. It's the County of Los Angeles. So
So
But it's important to note that this is different than the recycle center.
yes,
You can't bring this stuff to the city recycle center.
Exactly.
That's recyclables, metals, cardboard, things like that. This is the stuff you can't take there.
So we went over it real fast when we said the weekend. If people don't know, the Fire Department Training Center, if you are new into Burbank and you are just listening to our podcast and you don't know where the Fire Department Training Center is, it's 1845 Ontario.
I did give the address before.
Yeah, well, we can get it again.
Give it again.
Yeah.
Which is between
They have their pencil out
which is
now.
Ontario between Victory and
Pacific.
Pacific, right there. You see a little tower there. They actually don't do they don't do any burns
Yeah.
there anymore because of the AQMD.
But that's where it is. And I'm sure once you get in the area, they'll have signage
Oh,
to
yeah.
direct you
Yeah.
where to pull in and turn and stop your car. And
It's on the side of Northwest Park, which is now Schaefer Field.
Yeah.
We all back in the old days it was always Northwest Park to us.
and that
The
is,
old game.
we believe, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturday, September 9th.
And I thought I even saw where you could bring TVs to this event. But that's electronics.
That's e-waste.
And I'm not sure.
I used to go to a place up, LA City place up off of Glen Oaks.
Glen Oaks.
But it was only open like a few hours on the weekends or what have you. But you could bring paints and household hazardous waste, but also e-waste there. And I didn't see anything about e-waste at this. But if anybody's interested, has some to get rid of, you might look it up.
Yeah, go online and it's a great. And I'll tell you, they are so good at the people taking it out of your car, and
Yeah.
then you drive by after they close an hour after they're gone, and everything is gone. They do it so right.
Well, they have a
Package
system
up,
to it.
yeah.
They have to have a system to it. This is hazardous waste, but
These
but
are
these don't
professionals.
happen all the time. There's not a regular thing. Regular hours like the recycle center. So this is a good opportunity to clean out those cabinets.
About once every 6 months they do it, but these are professionals. Do not attempt this at home.
Absolutely. That's-
Okay, well,
exactly right.
we've reached the end of our show, which means
3 hours and 15 minutes later.
which means
We're just over an hour.
and first we have my gripe. I'm going to make a quick one today because I know Ross has a couple rants. He had one that reserved from last week he didn't use. So my gripe real fast. It's not. I won't get really into it, but once again, I look at the city's website because the city always says, "Oh, look at our website, check our website. Our website's so fantastic and all this great information." Well, on the front of their website, it always talks about council districting, and this is exactly what it says. Burbank is undergoing an exciting change intended to give residents a more powerful voice in local government. Learn about the redistricting process. Now, number one, why is it exciting? Why do we need adjectives in what they're saying? It's not exciting. And why is it now a more powerful voice than the way they were voting before? And this has not even been approved. And this makes it sound as though it's a done deal. Why is the city website so inaccurate and so editorializing on this subject? That's my gripe. I think that it needs to be a factual thing saying the city council is considering going to council districts, not transitioning, not
Right.
It's not exciting.
And you
Nothing exciting about it.
mentioned this before, the fact that everything you read from the city, online or otherwise,
It's a done
would
deal.
lead you to believe it's already happened.
Yeah, and they're going to actually talk about it. I believe at the meeting this next Tuesday they're going to bring it up again, and after the Santa Monica decision. So that's it for my thing. Now, if you've been with us this entire time, and we do appreciate it, is the highlight of our show. Ross will now has his rants.
Ross's rant.
Ross's rants. Take it away, Ross.
I think we needed to put a couple of new sounds in there when we talk about council districting, either a crowd laughing or the toilet flush. Oh, we have that one.
Oh, we have that.
No, you don't have to do it now. Too late. Moment is past.
Ross's
Now it's
rant.
Ross's rant. Ross's rant.
All right. There was a crime 3 months ago, 2.5 months ago at Wendy's. It was a stabbing. We covered it
On Alameda?
on Victory Place.
Victory Place.
Empire Center.
Empire Center.
Okay.
A transient was stabbed by another transient and went to the Wendy's drive-up window
Okay, give it some context.
to get assistance.
That's right.
And then the
I
police were
remember that.
called from that point, and they responded to the drive-through. But at that time, the man had already left and gone a couple blocks walking away when they were able to assist him. So
Gotcha.
Well, what I noticed driving by even today, the night of the incident, they stretched out probably a couple thousand feet of police line
that was
tape.
back on
It was an extended crime scene.
that was,
Yeah,
back,
it was-
on, back on June 21st.
Yep. It was where the victim walked. That was all part of crime scene. The crime scene tape is still up. Now, they arrested somebody 2 days later. He's already gone to court. And the police line tape is still lining the street where this all happened. Now, to me, if you're a visitor in this community, you drive by that and you go,
Wow, what
Ooh.
happened here? Oh, what's going on? Is this unsafe?
that, and I it's a rant that it just bugs me when I see some things. You go to Johnny Carson Park.
Let's go back to the other thing first. Shouldn't there be a policy in place that says that because I know we had a crime, a fatality in front of the Disney gate one time, and then you and I drove by about a month later, and all the painted
the
outline
paint-
of the man was still laying in the street, was still on the street. And to me, it's like, well, that's kind of morbid looking. Right, to look at that. You would think they could either have paint.
Well, on that
See
one,
this Mickey Mouse shaped outline in the front of the gate?
on that one, the city went out and did sandblast that body because every
Well, the
employee-
outline.
the
yeah,
outline,
not the body.
the outline on the pavement, but every employee going into Disney was reminded of
Yeah,
that
that's true.
fatality. So
Clearly, they used an actual spray paint or something
Yeah,
rather
no.
than the crime scene typical marking
I
paint.
just think that whoever the rookie officer is or whatever the low man at totem pole is when the crime scene is over, it's his responsibility. The sergeant says, "Okay,
have somebody.
your job is to go and get all that tape. Get all our stuff off the scene.
Well, the marking paint is one thing. You typically want to use marking paint, which is powder based and fades away after a day or two. But you use what you have, maybe all they had, or
Well, crime scene
use
tape,
mistakenly with. Well, we're talking about two
Yeah.
different things here.
but it's still cleaning up your.
Yeah, well, you
Afterwards.
typically break down the crime scene tape when the crime scene is broken down, but the paint is a whole different conversation. So we should probably stay focused on the.
Well, it kind
The
of
crime
gets me.
scene
Like
tape.
I said,
Yeah.
you go to the Empire Underpass and you look up to the left there, And you can see the yellow tape, and also down along Empire, where the victim apparently walked to, and they used crime scene tape. So it just kind of gets me that why hasn't it been cleaned up or taken
Well,
away?
and if somebody just overlooked it that night in the middle, the early morning hours or something, maybe somebody would have noticed it since then and taken it down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How many people?
Have they patrolled that area since then, or
Right.
You know?
That kind of makes you wonder.
Or they're waiting, just prepared for the next one.
Oh, God.
Just leave it up. The tape isn't cheap anymore, you know.
They figure he's already out.
It's a lot of tape.
He's already out in the streets again and might recommit the
Yeah,
crime.
he's already out.
If he goes to the same block, and attached to that one is,
Okay, now talk about Johnny Carson Park now.
Johnny Carson Park. Burbank PD had a great event, National Night Out. They had food trucks and things along the street there. There are still no parking signs on the light poles for that event.
And I believe that's a full month ago.
So
Well-
who put those signs up?
The police department.
Okay.
They don't drive by and, it just, you go into the park, you'll see a no parking sign, you got to go park a block away. Why can't,
I understand the date's probably written on the sign,
it is.
but you really, you can't really from a distance see what the date on the sign says. You see no parking.
Hey, watch
so-
commander, send a unit out there to go take those signs down.
So is that what I should
Well,
do?
I don't know whoever was assigned to put them up. Do
Actually-
they have an officer to it? They
Probably.
have
It's
a
probably-
community service
Probably
officer?
a cadet.
A cadet? Send a cadet out to take them down.
A space cadet.
Well, they have cadets for that reason, and you're right. Probably both
Yeah,
of
they
those.
usually wouldn't have an officer do that, but whoever they assigned to put them up, tell them
Well,
to put them down.
probably
That's
if-
Take them down.
That's why a cadet couldn't do both. The
Well, they
crime
probably
tape
would.
And,
They probably would.
That's a union thing. Oh, I only put them up. I can't
That's
can't
true.
take them down.
Well, those are my rants for this week. I have
Sheesh.
a couple more next week I've seen around town. But
Man alive.
Well,
Well, this show was full of rants from both of yous.
Rants and raves.
Both of yous.
yep,
Need to cheer this joint up.
Good to have you back this week, though. I hope your assignment.
Thank you.
Your assignment went well last week.
I was on assignment.
On assignment.
On assignment last week. Wasn't able to make it, but it sounded like you guys got along well. You didn't. There wasn't a big brawl on the table here or anything like that. You guys behaved and got along.
and I've had people say they listened to something in that show that we have people listen and comment.
They do. I know
Wait,
people that listen to the show.
There's people who listen to this show, actually?
I have friends that listen to the show,
You have friends?
and I for free. Don't even pay them to do it.
We talked about a lot of things today. You wouldn't think with a holiday in the middle.
and we first said we don't have much to talk about tonight. And of course, once again, we try to keep this under an hour, but so far we're about an hour and 10 minutes into it. So
I haven't been in. Maybe it's me. I haven't been in one that's just been under an hour yet.
But if you notice, our time is the same every
When do I get a rant?
anytime you want one.
anytime you want.
Well, we already yelled.
Well,
we were
no.
yelled out in the first half hour for running long.
I
don't
know
wanna
a
get in
couple-
trouble again.
I've got time for one more rant now if you want one.
I know which one you want. But
It isn't even in the city.
Oh, no, but it's close enough.
But I think Burbank people have to deal with it, see it, and deal with it more than LA people
You've
do.
gone too far into it. You've got to spill it.
Forest Lawn Drive.
Oh.
I don't know how many people have driven Forest Lawn Drive to see it.
And I've heard
It
this from
is
Do
a-
yourself, if you want to be shocked, and know that you are instantly out of Burbank. But if you think Forest Lawn Drive, LA doesn't see it. They don't, unless you're cutting through to the freeway or something.
I'll tell you,
But
though.
Burbank people see it all the time. I use it to get to the 134 all the time.
But I'll
the
tell you
eastbound.
this: if you're the Warner Brothers or Universal Studios,
You're staring at
and
it
you have
constantly.
and you're bringing people in for tours and
Yes.
from all over the world, and they're driving by and seeing this catastrophe.
It is absolutely. I make it. I use it a lot, but I get frustrated every time I do it, and I find myself trying to count how many dilapidated RVs there are.
It's probably a quarter mile to a half mile.
Well,
on
it's
each
more
side of the
now
street.
because they're all the way to Barham. Now
Oh.
they're almost all the way to the corner.
Do you know what I heard? Is that people are finding old motorhomes that don't run very much anymore. They tow them into there.
Yes.
And then they're charging people
They're paying rent.
$700 a month.
Yes, they're
to live
slumlords
in that
owning these
thing.
RVs, but what's come with it is they're falling apart. But with it now, if you go down there, and at any given time, I count 50 to 60 broken down, dilapidated RVs lining. But now people have cones out. There are tarps everywhere. There's piles of trash everywhere. The city of LA, somebody has put a couple of outhouses down toward the cemetery
Probably
for
the
them.
studios did
But if
that.
you look there's piles of garbage around those. There's trash everywhere, trash bags, broken down cars. Like I said, tarps. And some people, I've seen stories. Some people have full-time jobs, but they don't make enough to pay a regular
Right.
rent
No.
in the LA area, which I can understand. But if you look at this, and all they have to do, it's the city of LA, but they don't have to stare at it all day. Burbank has to stare at it all day, and it looks terrible, and it's disrespectful for the people laid to rest in those cemeteries to have the families and everything have to go buy these RVs and the stuff that comes with it. It's a sanitation problem. I'm sure that's a health issue going on there.
Tourism too.
You see propane tanks rolling around underneath these things, full or empty. Who knows? We'll find out when it blows up, I guess. But where's the human matter, human waste going? And another note, all the city of LA has to do. Clearly, they ignore it because they'd rather them be out of sight on Forest Lawn Drive for Burbank to have to stare at than have them go somewhere else. But there are signs posted. All they have to do is start enforcing the restricted hours.
Did we talk
The
about
parking.
enforcing the laws that we
Yes.
currently
That's
have?
what they do.
72-hour parking
That's what they do in Burbank.
regulation, and that's a state law, is a vehicle can't be parked in one spot for more than 72 hours without moving. Cite for that. Cite for the limited hour parking, the overnight parking, the registration, all that. But there's another thing I've noticed recently, and I'll just do this. I'll wrap up with this. Because the cemeteries are there, you have half a dozen flower vendors along Forest Lawn Drive between the freeway and the cemeteries. Now, something I noticed recently is all those vendors are in no stopping zones. They're all posted no stopping, so you
Well,
can't
that's
stop.
kinda like a newspaper machine in a red zone.
You can't
that
stop
somebody
your
got
car.
removed.
You stop in a traffic lane to buy flowers, and I've multiple times the last couple of weeks I've gotten off the freeway and come to a grinding halt because a car is stopped in the traffic lane blocking traffic buying flowers for one of these
And
people.
I believe the speed limit's like 50 miles an hour in Forest Lawn too.
It's 40, 45.
Yeah, I mean, and it's corners
Yeah.
too. You're coming around corners.
Exactly right. Coming off the freeway, there's a corner there, but now you've got a car stopped blocking the traffic lane buying flowers because the city of LA is allowing all of these flower vendors. Which I don't follow. It's nice to have them available if you're going to see a loved one at the cemetery. But every one of them is in a posted no stopping zone.
I,
Good
bel-
So
Right.
how are people legally stopping to buy these
I
flowers?
believe that's North Hollywood Division, I think, because I hear North Hollywood Division all the time called over to bar 'em. So I don't know if that's North Hollywood Division or Hollywood Division. But once again, it's on a corner of their divisions.
But-
It's on the other side of a mountain.
But this is clearly stuff. But again,
Karen
it's
Bass,
out of sight, out of mind for LA. They don't have to deal with this
I
stuff.
don't think the law enforcement division. It's much deeper.
Right. Well, I mean, parking control, all that. But I think North Hollywood Division is the one that administers
Well, if there's
crime.
crimes out
crime
there,
in the area.
and that's a problem because that's what it all leads to. These people don't get along.
The broken window theory.
Yep.
If you start ignoring the little stuff,
And that
it
is
just
why
gets
we did a
it leads to
story.
the bigger stuff.
That's why we did a story when one guy started parking in the Metrolink lot and having two
Right.
vehicles and a tent and everything else.
Barham
And, and he was gone within 2 days.
Forest Lawn is a perfect example of that. Allowing this to go on and how it's growing.
So I
and
would
growing.
highly recommend the people that listen to our podcast and live up
Take a
above
spin.
Glen Oaks.
Take a spin down Forest Lawn Drive.
Yeah,
You'd be
it,
absolutely
you will be
amazed.
shocked.
Hey,
And
Karen,
that is right outside the city. I would argue half of it's in the city because between Warner Brothers and we have the public driving up and down that street.
I just
People-
can't believe the studios have not put pressure on City Hall to do something. I
It's
I
terrible.
really can't believe they haven't.
And who knows what's going in the wash
Oh,
over the fence.
Oh, boy.
It's gross and it's getting worse over there because the city responsible for the enforcement is completely ignoring it because it's on the outskirts. So it's in a blind spot for the city of LA.
Yeah.
But as a Burbanker,
Burbanker. I think it's Burbanker.
I have to see it all the time. And I'll tell you, my anxiety, my stress goes up every time I don't have to use that street if I don't want, but it's a public street. Just enforce the laws that are on the books.
Yeah, we're not asking for new laws, anything
I'm
different.
not looking to invent a law for these folks that are over there. I feel for them as much as I can, but don't ignore the laws that are already on the books.
What a show!
Oy vey.
I think we should call
Call me a doctor.
Mitch McConnell?
No, we should call the new nonprofit we're giving money to for homeless and everything else.
What is it? Blip?
Yeah,
BIBC.
Believe in big change.
Believe in big change.
You know
Let's
what?
change Forest Lawn Drive.
Let's see a big change on Forest Lawn Drive, okay? Anyhow, well, that's it for another week's show. We always appreciate people tuning in. And if you lasted this far, congratulations.
Yes.
We're tired listening to ourselves as you listen to us, but we enjoy doing it. We enjoy all the feedback, too. So please email us.
We got some great stories going on My Burbank this week. We got some great podcasts. We have a new video from Devin from Burbank High. She also did one at last week's
Food Truck Friday.
Food Truck Friday.
And if any of our listeners know of anything coming up they want us to talk about or cover,
We'll
please send us an email. We'll go through the website, myburbank.com.
That's it. Okay. For another week, Craig Sherwood for Craig Durling and Ross Benson.
See you later.
Talk to you next week.
Bye-bye. My Burbank Talks would like to thank all of My Burbank's advertisers for their continued support. Burbank Water and Power, Cusimano Real Estate Group, UME Credit Union, the Burbank Chamber of Commerce, Gain Credit Union, Providence St. Joseph Medical Center, Community Chevrolet, Media City Credit Union, UCLA Health, Tequila's Cantina and Grill, UPS Store on 3rd Street, and Hill Street Cafe.